Hello, John from Peter Tyson. A small, neat, all-in-one streaming amplifier can be very useful indeed if done right. The WiiM amp not only costs very little, but at least on paper is a jack of all trades. Is it a master of any though? Let's just crack on. The WiiM amp is exactly what it says on the box. It's an amplifier for driving your passive speakers. Housing built-in Class D amplification that will drive 100 watts per channel into 4 ohms and 60 watts per channel into 8 ohms. It has a host of streaming options and physical connections, all wrapped up in one neat little box. Perfect for adding music into a small or secondary room, perhaps a bedroom or an office, or even breathing new life into some old speakers from a long forgotten system. It's easy to use, well made, and doesn't cost an awful lot. It all seems a little too good to be true. The box feels much more premium than the price would suggest. Inside you'll get the amp itself, of course, and the first thing that surprised me was the nice aluminium finish. Nice work, WiiM. They even treat you to HDMI, RCA phono and optical cables. No hunting around in the junk drawer for the cables that weren't included. The most popular streaming options are both built in Chromecast and AirPlay. This is what most people will use and all that most people will need. You can use your favourite music apps and just connect to the audio system. It will also allow you to join multi-room systems with other Chromecast and AirPlay audio systems all around the house. This also opens up to voice control with Google Assistant devices or HomePod. If Google or Siri isn't your thing, there's also built-in Alexa with the voice remote. There is DLNA for existing digital music collections, and two-way Bluetooth is a nifty little add-on. Not only can you play from Bluetooth from your phone to the amplifier, but you can stream from the amplifier to perhaps a pair of Bluetooth headphones if you want a bit of private listening. Around the back are the physical connections. Power, obviously, an analog stereo RCA phono, digital optical toslink, USB audio, Ethernet if you don't want to use the built-in wireless, and HDMI ARC if you'd like to use your WiiM amp and a pair of speakers as an alternative to a soundbar connected to your TV. There's a subwoofer line output and of course stereo speaker outputs for bare wire or banana connections. On the front fascia there is a volume knob you can press for play and pause. The simplest control is perhaps the included remote, usual playback control and source selection, and access to presets for radio stations and playlists that you can configure in the app. If you are connected to TV via HDMI ARC, your TV's remote control will of course control the volume of the WiiM amp too. Most people will probably take advantage of the very capable WiiM app for Android or iOS. The app deals with setup, updates, source selection and playback. You can log lots of music services into the WiiM app, so you can keep everything in one place. So rather than flicking between your favourite music apps and the WiiM app, everything is right there to hand. You can customise your sound with presets or one of the equalizers if you really want to tinker around and tune your speakers to your room and or your taste. Do you know what? For the price, the build and the features of the WiiM amp, it probably sounds better than it has a right to. For small bookshelf speakers or even smaller floor standers, it has enough clout and wallop to keep things detailed and pretty dynamic. If you are one of these that just wants to crank the bass up to 11 and run huge cheap speakers at nightclub volumes, the WiiM is probably not for you. You will quickly find its limitations. I ran some really quite old Mission M72s at home and the B&W 607 and Wharfedale Diamond 12.3 in the showroom, and it all sounded very respectable. Would I run my lovely Bowers & Wilkins 705 from it? Of course not. If, however, you want music in a smaller space or just want a second system or to resurrect some old speakers from the attic for fun, then I highly recommend the WiiM amp. So that's it. If you'd like to get yourself a WiiM amp or just see current pricing and more information, I will of course leave a link in the description below as always. Get yourself down in the comments, I enjoy reading those. Until then, you'll see me in the next video. Take care.